You can start.
Okay, good evening. I'm Reverend G, and I am just delighted that you have chosen to attend this event this evening. A couple of words about who we are. Here at our here at our UU Community Church. Maybe Danielle, if you would mute yourself for just a little bit till we're done with introductions, that would be great. At UU Community Church of Southwest Michigan, we are living from the heart. We are an inclusive, compassionate community. We work towards personal growth because we believe as within, so without. We work for social transformation, healing, and justice. And then inspiring programs like this is also what we do because we truly believe that what we can do together, we can do more together than we can do alone. Also, programs like this are only possible because of your donations. So if you can contribute, we welcome your donations, a one-time or a recurring donation as it is right for you, so we can keep bringing guests to you who inform us and inspire us in our day-to-day living. Also, we would love to know a little bit. I don't know, we probably have everybody just from our community, so you don't need to go in the chat and tell us how you learned about us, unless I am missing somebody. And if we, okay, good. No, we don't have to do that. All right. So today,
just wave me down.
Danielle is a very busy man tonight. He's at a special event in Detroit. He's honoring one of his mentors. So clearly there's life going on around him. Today, we are diving into a topic that is both urgent and deeply human. The realities of life for the undocumented immigrants in the United States today, and the organizations that stand in the gap to protect, empower, and defend them. Our guests tonight are Danielle Oropeza and Amanda Villa. They both work here in Michigan for the United Farm Workers Foundation. In fact, I just learned that they are the faces of the foundation, and the rest of the people who are deeply involved with them are actually volunteers. The two of them have been at the forefront of the movement for immigrant rights, fighting for the dignity and protection of all undocumented people. Danielle and Amanda are on the front lines every single day, and they're navigating this increasingly complex and often hostile political and legal landscape that our current administration is creating. They are responding to, I'm assuming you are responding to ICE raids or dispersing myths about it. And then you are involved and you are providing critical know your rights education, and you work to create actual, tangible safety nets for a community that's living constantly under fear now. So Danielle and Amanda, welcome to both of you to our event. And Danielle, you have been, you are a man of multi-talents. Besides, you also DJ, and you worked for Western Michigan, I read about it, that you did the Latino music for our WMU radio station. And so Amanda and Danielle, we welcome you. And the format of this evening is going to be very informal. I will ask a few questions. Surely there will be some follow-up questions. And then towards the end, I will open it up for questions from our attendees. Danielle was able to commit to an hour, so that is all the time we are going to have with both of you. For those of us who are unfamiliar, can you give us a sense of the core mission of the foundation, Beyond advocacy, what does protection and support mean? How do you do that? How did you come about? How did you get involved with this work? Either Danielle, I'm assuming Danielle will take this.
Yes. Just a really quick summary of the UFW Foundation on what we do. First, we're a nonprofit dedicated just to improve lives for farm workers, immigrants, Latinos everywhere. Our core is the purpose to empower communities to ensure human dignity, regardless what language they speak, regardless how are they living, regardless if they're seasonal or temporary or full-time farm worker. So that's one of the things uh, that I would like to mention to start off. And I don't know if Amanda would like to add on to that.
No, I think you covered it all. We are the largest nonprofit serving Latinos and farm workers in the United States. We do have presence in 5 different states, which is California, where the farm worker movement initiated, Michigan, Arizona, Washington, and Georgia. And we often collaborate with other individuals or organizations in different states as needed. But we do have our focus in those different states. And it's due to the fact of Michigan is the second leading state of agriculture produce compared to California. And we are second in the nation, and we are also like we have seasons. So like during the winter, there's no production. So that's a lot to say of Michigan, because compared to the size of California and the weather patterns in California, Michigan is the second leader to agriculture products. And we're very proud to be here, and thank you for having us and hosting us. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So the political climate around immigration now is extremely polarized, heated, uh, scary. It is very, very scary. So what is from Roy, your point of view, what is the single biggest challenge for the undocumented community right now, and how can you address that?
One of the biggest challenges that we do face as the very beginning, in the very beginning with this new administration, and then during the summer, and now even now, we do see a lot of less people attending our sessions because we do not all the fear that everywhere that we do go and other places that we haven't been at, you can feel it, you can see it from the rural communities that we do go. Even yesterday, example, I was in Van Buren County. We're over here all agencies are expecting to see 60, 80 families. Turn out to be, it was only like 25. Because people are afraid on the things that are happening, uh, especially at this very moment. People don't want to go outside. People don't want to. I mean, there were even businesses, they even had their doors locked. Um, they were still open, but they don't want to take chances. Some stores, uh, some mom and pops restaurants, and local businesses in around the area. So it's very challenging, and we do notice because there have been some times that when we do go to outside of Kalamazoo or outside of Kent County at places that we do invite the farm workers, we do invite the families. At times, it's elbow to elbow, but once in a great while, now it's like I say, I say 5 out of 10 times now. It's you never know because we don't know what's happening with the farm workers. We don't know all of them. We haven't met everyone, but we don't know what happened to their family members, to their coworkers, or where were they working before, and that maybe there is some things have occurred at their communities, at their jobs, at their schools, at a different state. We don't know. But we cannot stop the advocacy work that we're doing. We're not trying. We're doing the work. It's not just literature and talk to them about certain tasks that are the reason for us visiting, but it is very important that we need to open. I mean, obviously, we already open it in our hearts to be to make that day happen, but we need to have an understanding too, like what else do they know? What else they can? What other information? What really is happening day to day? Um, so that way, at least we only can do what we can do in our framework, and if not, there's other agencies that they're willing to assist them on any assistance they need. We don't know if the farm workers just arrived yesterday or 3 weeks ago, and they need hygiene products, or they need food, or they need, but that's when we come in and we only limit it on what to do with our framework. But throughout outreach and throughout tabling all these locations, all these counties, we have built relationship not only with farm workers, but we have built relationship with other agencies as well. And that's just a blessing all around. But one of the main things is just is is getting tough, but then we're trying to find different tactics on what way can we get the farm workers to attend or to come. It even could be coffee and donuts or clothing or etc. But I think I have seen a little bit of improvement as well. I don't know if Amanda would like to say anything on this.
I'm good. Thank you,
Oh,
Daniel.
So,
okay.
why don't you give us an example? Like, what is it that you do with a farm worker who just arrived yesterday? And then what do you do for farm workers who have been here for a while? And what is your, in the perfect world of Danielle
Mhm,
and the
mhm.
foundation, what's the
Yes.
final outcome?
Yes, with us being out there with a lot of all these agencies that we're meeting every time we go out there, anywhere, uh, there are some agencies or there are some unsung heroes that they talk to us and it's like, what can we do to help? I seen you online. I see what you guys do. What can we do to help? And we were blessed a little bit over a year ago. Uh, there was a church and all these unsung heroes. They asked, what can we help? What can they help our farm workers? And knowing winter's around the corner, and our past colleague, she made arrangements with a local church from South Haven, and we were able to get, I'm guessing, over 100 blankets and um, and quite a bit of like hygiene products. So when we went to outreach and we went to find out that the workers are just arriving, we'll go to their locations and knowing we go to their locations where they live, and we go there and not only a visit, but we visit them with other things like blankets and hygiene. And there are sometimes they do ask for like either Bibles or food, because when they arrive, not automatically they're going to start working. It can take a couple days or it can take a week or two because of the drought or because of the frozen ground that we still get late March and April. Uh, so, and we have built relationship too with DHHS, and they're very good on what they do. A little bit of information that they need from the farm workers, but sometimes this summer it was a lot of people that they were afraid even to write down their names, um, uh, or like how many families they have. So, but a lot of agencies that have supported us or we support them uh, when they do call us. But and you never know when these workers are going to be. I mean, we know when the H-2A workers are being arriving, but we don't know the domestic workers when they are coming from different states to our general area, like Southwest Michigan. or even sometimes this past summer, this past summer, um, we took a trip to Monroe County, and this is one thing that just breaks my heart because there were 24, 25 young ladies, and they're very well educated. They're nurses down in Mexico and South of America, but there's no jobs down there. Well, there are jobs, but they don't get paid enough to support mom and dad and all their family. So they come literally 1,800 miles to up here to literally corn detasseling, literally work out there. They're H2A workers, but it was my first time seeing H2A workers, but they were all women, anywhere between 22 to 26 years of age. And it's just jaw dropping. But a lot of unsung heroes and agencies that didn't look like us was there to provide them food, clothing. Even MSU, Michigan State University, came out of their way and start talking to them about if they need English classes. And there was another agency that came out of her way and start, doll them up with, doing their nails and doing their hair and all that. And to do that, to travel so long, so far away, and for unexpected individuals that never met you before, and to do that, that was just a huge highlight that I will remember forever. So there are agencies out there that they do go out of their way to just kind of welcome them. I mean, and it's just crazy because these women, they don't know the language here. They never been in Michigan, and they're just, I think they were here like 3 months because the first time seeing snow. Um, so it was just awesome just hearing that, the same ages as my daughters, and that's what kind of like it was a teardrop for me.
So they
So
came for 3 months and then they went back home after 3 months.
yeah, they were here. I think they were here till like maybe 3, 4 months after, and with all the things have changed and all, we don't know if this group is gonna be coming back or maybe go to a different state. But and it's gonna be very difficult for farm workers though, especially here in Michigan, because of the changes that the wages are going to be happening. It's gonna be very difficult, um, very different, and it's gonna just if I don't see the same farm workers like we do every year, it's not it's just because the wages that are going to be changing here uh, next
Tell
year.
us more. Tell us more about the wage changes.
You want to about the wages, Amanda?
Yeah. So in October of, I think it was the 2nd of October of this year, the second Trump administration announced that they were going to drastically reduce wages for all farm workers in the United States. It's a complicated process. It's called A-word, which stands for the adverse effect wage rate. And it's a complicated equation. Sometimes it's even complicated to explain it, but it's a you look at different surveys, you look at different ways that people are paid, and they come up with a yearly amount. And it's every state is different. So Michigan has their own minimum wage for farm workers. Georgia has their own minimum wage. Every state is different, and it looks at the minimum wage of the state, a competitive wage for like the guest visa workers, which what Daniel was explaining about, and then domestic. So it's a complicated equation, but the Trump administration announced that they were going to do away with all this and they were going to propose just like standard wages. Also, it's different in every state. So doing this, they're undercutting and displacing American workers in agriculture. This proposal would decrease like $5 to $7 an hour for our farm workers in different states. In Michigan specifically, currently they're being paid, well, not even, well, before October 2nd, they were being paid $18.18. Now, any new contracts or any new farm workers will be paid $13.73, which is like $4.40-50 decrease. And then to top it off, the housing cost will now be responsible of the farm worker, which previously, before October 2nd, the camp or the housing that was provided to the farm worker was covered by the grower. So these are changes that are going to drastically impact our farm workers. I've even heard, and this is a conversation that me and Daniel have had, he was contacted by some farm workers that had already returned home, and they were texting him asking them, like, is this real? Are my wages going to be this low the next time I come and harvest in Michigan? And it's unfortunate, but yes, this litigation has started immediately. So like any new contracts starting on October 1st and moving, or October 2nd and moving forward, these wage cuts will be in regulation. And there is like public comment that we have been collecting testimonies, kind of gathering farm workers so that we can voice their stories, their testimonies. So public comment is October 2nd until December 1st. And then there are other items that we're working on. It hasn't been official, but we are looking for other ways so that we can fight back against this regulation because it's very unfair. It's very unjust. One of our pillars for the UFW Foundation is that we empower or re-empower our farm workers to ensure human dignity. And this regulation obviously does nothing for our human dignity or our farm workers. I saw a comment in the,
Nikki says, aren't the states setting the wages? Is that a
So
federal thing or a state thing?
Well, before it was like, so the federal government determines how the state determines the wage. But now the US federal government wants to override everything. And now they're setting their own standard, which it's another complicated equation that they use. I'm not even sure how they calculated these wages, but they decided that in Michigan, from $18.18, you're now going to go down to $13.78. But it is based on state. Usually there's like a big process, and but now the federal government is dismantling all that, and they're just setting their own standard that was introduced on October 2nd.
And one of the things I want to add though too is, when we do visit farm workers, when we do visit the rural communities and we go all these locations, we try to find out, and we try to find out and we ask the farm workers, like, okay, how long is your job? Are you going to move to another location? And some of them do say, yeah, we could probably gonna go to Sparta. We're probably gonna go to Muskegon for 2 months. And then after that, we just go back home and all. And that's when we come in and we encourage them to stay connected with us, not only to go online and look for social media things that it's being aired out there from the UFW Foundation, but we let them know just to go to our tech, go in the text program that we have, and it's totally free. And it's not like, and I tell them, like, you're not gonna get text every day like insurance companies or sell you anything. I say it's just the majority of the things that are happening nationwide of farm workers, just to keep you informed. Wherever you go, you can take this text program with you. So that's another way, or you build relationship, like you seen Jose, and then 6 months later you see him again, or 2 years later you see him again, and you build, and we have a WhatsApp number as well. And just like Amanda said, and it was just jaw dropping because the word is traveling really, really fast. I mean, I'm just surprised. I mean, he's out there fishing and I don't know what state he was fishing, 80 some degree weather and all. And then he's telling me, oh, by the way, is it true? that the wage is going to be lowered when we get back, and if we do go back. So right there, I just paused. So there's always a way to reach the UFW Foundation. It doesn't have to be just harvesting months. It can be even now. I mean, we out here in the cold there, workers out there doing 80, 90-degree weather down there, but we still try to build that relationship, and it's just heartwarming. It's very beautiful. Like, not all of them will call you or message you. I'll say, but it does feel great when you do hear, where's Jose, where's Maria, where's Lupita, and you build their relationship, and for us, we call them leaders. uh,
All right. So some
You got muted, Reverend G. Caitlin was asking if there was any letter templates that we could use when we made public comment on that federal site.
Yeah, so we are going to launch a petition. It's not because we are launching something else that is still highly confidential until tomorrow at noon Eastern time. We are going to launch a petition, and we'll make sure to have you guys on the email so that we can share it with you guys.
Yep.
And again, I'm going to reiterate, if you text Si Se Puede, and I'll put it in the comments, to 877-877, we are going to launch a massive text campaign because we want to make sure that the government hears us, and we want to make sure that when we launch this petition, we have as many people as possible to sign it, to make sure that, hey, you're not only affecting farm worker wages, you're affecting everyone that cares about farm workers. So we can have more action items tomorrow. We just don't have any right now because it is confidential, but tomorrow at noon we will have more items to share.
So do you have litigation power? Like, can you litigate?
Yes. So we do have an advocacy arm to the UFW Foundation, and we are going in that route because of the severity of this bill and because of the severity of our farm workers being, again, I'm going to say held hostage to the work that they do because it's dignified work. But if you don't get paid enough and you're obligated to do this, and when I say obligated, I mean because you need it, because you might not qualify for any other kind of employment, because we know the immigration laws are very strict. So we do have a litigation arm which we will be activating. This is something that's been ongoing, like looking for different testimonies, doing a lot of outreach with farm workers. And we can send more info once that is live, and it should be live tomorrow again.
I also read somewhere that these farm workers get their visa tied to a particular grower. Is that true? I'm asking that it's tied to a particular grower, so therefore they are very vulnerable to the abuses of that particular grower. They can do whatever they want, and they can't even quit the work, or they'd have to leave the country. Is that correct?
Yes. So the H-2A program has had a lot of human trafficking, a lot of labor violations, a lot of human dignity violations because of that. So once you apply for a H-2A visa, which is the guest worker program specifically for agriculture, you apply based on an employer. So that employer, whether it be I don't know if you guys seen the big white buses that are in Walmart or Burlington. So those are agencies that recruit agriculture workers, whether it be in Mexico or Central America, and they bring them to work in different growers. So I'm gonna talk about one that's well known in where I live. There's a company called Manzana. They recruit people to come and work in apples, greenhouses, blueberries. So they're tied to Manzana. They're not tied to the grower here in Sparta. I'm going to say Ridgeview Industries. They're tied to Manzana, and then Manzana makes contracts with different farmers in the area, and they send these workers to work in those different farms. But Manzana can do whatever they want with these employees. So they can decide, hey, you got sick, or hey, you're talking too much, I'm not going to bring you back next year. And Manzana can also and we've seen this, and I'm not saying that Manzana is by any means a bad employee or a bad employer, but this happens across the sector of all these different agencies that bring H-2A workers. We've seen a lot of you're supposed to pay me $18.18, but I don't see that on my paycheck. Or I'm working more than 40 hours a week, but I don't see that on my paycheck. So there's a lot of different irregulation that happens, particularly in the guest program worker, H-2A. So whenever we talk about H-2A, we're talking about that program.
Are you able to step in when these things happen? Like when they're getting abused, they're not getting their wages, they're overworked. Are you able to step in and help them, or that's not something that your foundation does?
So we do a lot of workers' rights information, making sure that the farm workers, whether they be like domestic or H-2A, that they understand their rights and they understand that you can't be retaliated against. If you were promised 40 hours a week, you need to make sure that you work or are paid 40 hours a week. So we do that kind of education to our farm workers. The issue is there's a lot of farm workers that are not treated fairly, but the fear is so real that in their home country they could be so worse
Destitute.
that that they're okay with not being paid, or that they're okay with being rushed. So it's very hard to find a farm worker that actually wants to speak out. I can share an article about migrant legal aid, which they had 5 individuals from Guatemala in Hart, Michigan, where they were courageous enough to speak out. It took over 5 years to get this lawsuit won. And it was, I recently had more information about it, but it was like treacherous lawsuit. You would imagine it wouldn't be that hard to win, but it's very hard because these different companies that bring H-2A workers, they have very deep pockets. And farm workers don't. We rely on organizations like ours or migrant legal aid. So it's very hard to find a farm worker that actually wants to do something and that can do something. But I'll drop the article because it's a good read.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
There's a question. There's a question in the chat about the changes to wages and housing. Is there a fear that the migrant workers are just not going to show up if they're going to if the wages come down so far? That farmers won't be able to pick their crops? Is there concerns among farmers about this as well?
It's a strong possibility, because the way I look at things is like, wow, they're going to decrease the pay. I mean, the actual funds on their wages, and then now their housing. I mean, farm workers, they're gonna be thinking on Plan B, on probably there's other jobs out there. Maybe some of them probably will rethink about keeping. I mean, doing the same work as farm worker. Maybe they'll do something else. Oh, they'll find something else, or they'll go somewhere else. That I don't know, but that is a big fear, not only for the actual farm workers, but a big fear for the farmers itself. And I'm sure they probably have their meetings as well. That because one, I mean, let's not blame the drought now, okay? But drought has been a huge impact every year, okay? Or freezing rain, etc. And your harvest goes bye-bye. You can't harvest them anymore. I'll say, but now it's taking advantage and abusing the actual wages for these farm workers. So it can be a big possibility that you might find left. Or look what happened in Van Buren. There's quite a few people that it was their first time, but their harvest their harvest did not get their produce did not get harvest as fast as normal, because there were different people doing the harvesting. It wasn't people that looked like us. It was other people, and it was a huge argument on that as well. But that kind of can give you a you know like turn you the light on we are important. Our work speaks for itself. You know what I mean? So it's just, but it's a possibility, to answer your question, that it can happen, but we're not so sure. But few things can
Time will
change,
tell.
but we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, time will tell. So so much is changing, and it's all going in the wrong direction. I'm sure that, of course, your goal is to create better circumstances, more rights, better wages for these migrant workers, and things are going the wrong way. And of course, all of us have ICE raids on our minds. And how do you, or do you guys help mobilize, and how do you help in real time? How do you respond in real time when these ICE raids happen, if you do that at all? What does the emergency response protocol look like?
We have not seen personally here in Southwest, Midwest, we have not been involved with any ICE raids, or even when ICE is present. Um, but we do have quite a bit of training that we have done, especially with the ACLU as well. Um, and but they're in Kalamazoo, Kent County, but I know there's other cities around that have been collaborated with the 287G, but seen anything like that in action, um, we have not seen it
And do you
with
have
ourselves.
do you have some kind of rapid response protocol in place, or are you prepared for this in any way?
We do share with our farm workers or any rural communities that we do go to, the two rapid response numbers from Detroit and Grand Rapids, and now the new one that just came out, this past Saturday, and that covers Ottawa, Allegan, Van Buren. Um, so we do share that because you just never know. You know, the workers might have relatives or friends that work in them communities. And if anything happens, they know what number to give them. So that's another thing that, we give extra to the farm workers because you just never know.
Can you explain it more about the rapid response numbers? What kind of resources do you get when you call it?
Well, when you do call the rapid response number, they're going to need all the information as possible. Well, they're going to be asking you like, okay, when did you see? Who did you see? What were they driving? Description of their vehicle? What time of the day? What did they say to you? Did you record? Did you took pictures? Um, they start asking all these questions. But one of my biggest fear at times is like, well, the person that's calling, you already know either they're upset, they're crying, they're mad, they're heartbroken, to these rapid response people. But then again, I'm guessing when the rapid response people are asking these questions, my biggest fear is this person that's calling might hang up because they might. What makes them so sure? Uh, and sometimes the language too, because not everyone speaks Spanish or not everyone will speak English. I'm not sure how they handle if they do get a call that speak another different language. So that's something that, um, I'm gonna do a little homework on that.
So my question is, do you tell them something? ICE is at your door. This is what you do. Like, do you prepare these
Yes, and that's
this
part
work?
and that's part of our actual, uh, task that we talk to the community about knowing your rights. And also not only knowing your rights, but also if we know they do have family like kids, that we do have family preparation plans as well. So that way we educate them on them forms as well. That takes a lot more time, to fill one out. But, and even yesterday when I was there in Van Buren Laundromat, um, we talked to so many people. The guy was just completely quiet, and then he looked at me. He was like, "Dude, you gave me them at the Bangor church, next to over there at the sacred church." I said, "You gave me them forms like maybe 4 or 5 months ago," and I just completely forgot. It was like they're all signed. They're good for another couple months, right? And so these actual, not know your rights, but the actual preparation plans. After you do fill it out carefully, um, in either English or Spanish, after you fill one of them out, you do have to look out. I mean, you do have to find a notary to be notarized, and then it's valid for 6 months. And then closer to that 6 months occur, well, make sure you reach out to us or other agencies that do have preparation family plans, because we don't know if this family is going to still be in Michigan or it's going to be going to other locations. We don't know. So that's why one of the reasons why we give them other way to contact us. But yes, we do on the Know Your Rights sessions, we do let them know that what to do and what not to do when ICE is at the door or anyone that looks not your ordinary neighbor to not open the door.
Okay, I have just one last question, and then I'm gonna open it up to our participants. It's like somebody's been deported. Do you help them? Do you have ways to get a hold of them, find them, offer them legal support? Is that also part of your program?
We, Amanda and I, our positions, we're organizers, but we do pass the torch or share the story to other individuals that are in our team, and especially like from California, because there's a lot more different departments over there. And we just follow chain in command. What do we do? Who do we reach out to? So yes, there is a few people in our department that they will know how to handle them type of tragedies that have been occurring.
Yeah, so I am gonna thank you so much.
Welcome.
We really want to know how we can help, like in very practical, clear steps. What is it that we can do to also help you? And then I'm opening it up to all of you. Ask your questions while we have Amanda and Danielle with us. We're so grateful for your time.
And in the future, before someone asks a question, we're more than glad. I mean, and I know we have a busy schedule and some time off here down the road, but we even can have a session in person. I mean, if you're willing to open the doors for your church and all, I mean, we've done that before. We have traveled. I mean, we even done Know Your Right sessions outside. Not this time, not around this time, but we have gone to schools, cafeterias, people's basements, a private area that we can have a discussion for like an hour, hour and a half, and other tasks that we do like to have discussion with, not only with farm workers, but other people that have been very supportive, and they're not even farm workers. But they understand the pain, they understand the situation, they understand that, hey, you know, um, if you ate yesterday, you ate today, you plan on eating tomorrow, well, look who harvests your food. Uh, so
Eric, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering if is it the United Farm Workers Union or is it just the United Farm Workers
United Farm Workers Foundation.
Foundation? Have they brought any lawsuits against the federal government at this point about, it seems, I think somebody else mentioned, seems though these federal wage changes they're making is imposing on states' rights to set wages. Has there been any laws pushback at the federal legislation that's coming down, or is that still in process?
So it's in process, and it's gonna be finalized soon. But there will be litigation against the U.S. government because it's not okay to do this at a federal level. It should be stayed as a state level. So there will be litigation, not currently, but very, very soon.
Yeah, my understanding is that the federal government can set minimum wages, but it can't set maximum wages. That's the state that sets their wages. And they usually have a higher minimum wage, and these people work within the state. They're not federal employees. So Michigan should have the final say in how they're treated from a wage point of view and housing point of view, and not the federal government.
Well, let's
So
hope so. But they're here on federal visas, so that may be
No, it's still it's the wages are states' rights, but he doesn't believe in the Constitution anyway, so I suppose it makes no difference. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen that enforcement actions, whether it be like wages or just ICE enforcement, no longer follow predictable patterns, and no one is upholding them to the Constitution or legally binding powers. So the state isn't doing anything. I have not heard a conversation about individual states suing, pushing back. Going back to like a previous question about are growers worried about this? I'm going to truly answer. I don't believe that they're worried because the workforce that they bring is a vulnerable workforce. And if they don't bring them from Mexico and if they don't bring them from South America, they will find other vulnerable populations to exploit. So maybe in the long term, yes, they're going to worry about it, but in the short term, which a lot of growers are faced with short term, they don't really care. And we've seen it time and time and again. They can say that they're family owned and all these different things, but we've seen that family orchard and family farms are a thing of the past. Now it's more industrialized. So bigger corporations are the owners of these orchards, are the owners of these used to be mom and pop shops, and now they're not. And these bigger corporations, they don't care. They'll exploit someone else that is exploitable. So I don't believe growers are really caring about it right now. We haven't heard anything being done against these wages. But the UFW Foundation, our sister org, the union, the UFW, we are gonna do something. Once something goes live, we will make sure to share it with you guys.
Okay. I had a question. You're farm workers, but if somebody from something else calls you with a problem, would you deal with it like somebody from a packing plant or the small businesses that are really in fear that their businesses are going to be closed, all the different Hispanic businesses around? Can they also call you for advice, or are you strictly farm workers?
No, we help all individuals that contact us. We have like a broader, we say a lot like farm workers because we are the UFW Foundation, but we focus on like immigrants, Latinos, just vulnerable populations. Just this week, we were doing some business canvassing, going out to the businesses and kind of educating on what if ICE shows up or what if something happens. We need to make sure that your business has a plan and make sure that your employees know that it's safe and that you are aware of your constitutional rights even if they're not like uplifted or followed, like we still need to follow those constitutional rights because it's going to be a long battle, but if we don't uplift them for ourselves, no one will. And making sure that we have documentation along with the rapid response initiatives and all these, it's so important to have either like video footage, pictures of all these unjust actions that are happening. Because when everything comes to an end and all this chaos is settled, we're going to go back and we're going to look at all these different things that happen unjustly. And we're going to prove that a lot of people were mistreated, that a lot of people were separated from their families, and you just let it go. So like we need to make sure that whenever we do see an injustice, contact rapid response and also have any footage or documentation of all these injustices because even if our constitution is not being upheld right now, there will come a time where it will be the US Constitution again and the law will be followed.
Amen. Go ahead, Eric.
Are there enough family-owned farms still around that may push back on this, that could be a coalition against the corporate side? Because I know they're getting chewed up as well, competition-wise, but is that such a small fraction? They're not necessarily a group that aligns with providing fair wages and housing and all that, or I'm hoping that family farms are a little more compassionate, maybe not. I mean, they're up against the wall as far as finances, financially in farming. It's tough. But I'm just wondering who are the coalition partners out there that can support you. And I don't know if there's any our local representatives representatives at the state level, if this is going up to them to look at these wages, but you're probably looking at all these issues and how to get the state to push back.
So I don't have a complete, well, I'm going to answer based on my knowledge, because I don't have a direct answer for that. But a lot of farmers go to the Michigan Farm Bureau, and that's like their organization. They sell insurance, right? That's their main thing. But they also organize farmers. And the Michigan Farm Bureau and the National Farm Bureau has, and it's on their website, like they have publicized this. They are against A-word. They don't like A-word. They want to eliminate A-word for one reason or another. They want to eliminate the standard wage to pay farm workers because there's a lot of things that goes behind that, right? Farmers are also suffering, we understand, but they're not suffering because they're paying their farm workers a just wage. They're suffering because there are imports from other countries. There are tariffs. There are many other things that affect farmers, but I don't know if it's the easiest way to push back. Well, that the Michigan Farm Bureau and the Farm Bureau, they right off the bat, maybe not because of this, but like right off the bat, they have historically been against A-word, and they do everything possible to eliminate this standard wage for farm workers. So there are currently no farmers that I know that are doing something to fight back. And then when you asked about state representatives or state officials, it's back in, I can't remember when, Daniel, you might know, but back in the spring, Senator Slotkins had a meeting behind closed doors with farmers. And they were talking about farm worker issues, yes, but just farmers.
Yep. That was in April.
So they publicly announced that they were supporting wage freezes, which,
right,
I'm going to be completely honest, a wage freeze would be way better than what is currently going on in the government, but it's still not okay. So we know we don't have the backing of Senator Slotkins, which is Democrat, which you would assume we would, but we don't. And there have been other Democrat or other elected officials that have also not been part of our, they don't sympathize with our advocacy for farm workers. So we don't really have any support in the government. And that's unfortunate to say, but the farm workers don't have any support currently.
Is there a bridge there with Slotkin? Because I know the wage freeze was like, was it going to go back to 2023 levels or something like that? Was that what she had proposed, which was like $16 or something, as opposed to 18?
Yep, exactly. Yes.
Is that still something that's, as you say, I don't know how if you want to compromise, but it's better than 13. But it probably doesn't matter. If the feds are going to take it over, it's a moot point probably.
Well, probably if you bend your knees once, you're going to bend them your whole life. And that's what we don't want. And yeah, some background, and this may be too much information, but some background is we've been fighting against wage freezes for over 10 years. And the reason why we fight for wage freezes, because we want to make sure that our farm workers are dignified and they're paid fairly. But the UFW, our union, the UFW Foundation, have always been advocating for some path of legalization for farm workers. And in this package, and I'll put more info in a link, and in this package, it's called the Farm Worker Modernization Act. That packet has different points of how do you become a citizen? How do you establish residency in Michigan? When you're a farm worker, it has a lot of rules that you have to follow. And within that package, there is also kind of like a section on how to benefit growers. And we talk about how to kind of come up with a more fair and equitable pay for farm workers, and then also taking into consideration of farmers. So it would be like a negotiating effect. But whenever something passes, and we eliminate that possibility of having some kind of bipartisan negotiation within our bill is done. It's over. Because we just lost an important component of our bill, which was the farmer support, which they are supporting it because it benefits them in some way, which would be paying farm workers a little bit less money. But then our farm workers would be benefited also because they now have a legal path to citizenship. So this is why it's always been like a ping pong that we've always been fighting against these different regulations, because they're just taking the easy way out and they're not coming with a real solution.
Thank you.
And one thing I do want to add though too, and this is in the very beginning stages on COVID, the UFW Foundation was one of the largest nonprofit organizations that gave back and helped so many, not only farm workers, but other individuals on supplying masks, on the actual proper any proper protective equipment, food, vaccinations over there in California, and the early stages here in Michigan as well. And I think it was like March or April of 2020. So that's one thing I do want to highlight. That's something that it seems like everyone, a lot of work together very, very well in that early stages of COVID.
It's 8 o'clock, and we want to be respectful of your time. One of the things that was alarming to me as you were talking about the wage reductions, I Googled it to see if I could find media coverage of it, and there's nothing out there. No mainstream media is covering this at all. And I wonder what kind of, you mentioned support from different churches and different organizations. Do you find people are stepping up into the breach here in non-governmental, nonprofit to help Latino people at this time? Or is there more to be done?
I feel that there's more to be done. I know that a lot of people are stepping up, and we are very grateful for all these support systems and all these different groups and the rapid response networks that have been coming up, like surfacing because of all the unjust treatment and the scare for families. But like you mentioned, nationally, we're not shaking it up. We're not making any noise, and we need to be making more noise in order to get some systemic change, because not that it's not being done enough in rural communities or places where our farm workers are at, but if we only keep it in-house and in a bubble, we're never going to make change everywhere else that we need to make change. So I do think personally we need to ramp it up. Sometimes me and Daniel talk about like, we need to do more, but then how can we do more? Because we ourselves are targets. We ourselves are immigrants. We ourselves have different things that maybe don't benefit us right now. Like, we love our culture and we love the way we look, but we do have a target on our back, especially when we put our logo on our car, or especially when we have our pins and our different swag that we use, and we're very, very proud of using it, but we also know our limitations. So we do need to do more. Sometimes it's hard to do more, but the more noise that we can make, the more collaborations. We partner up with Merck, FLS, different orgs across the state and nationally to help us uplift farm workers. But I think we just need more momentum. We need more key players that we don't have. Like, we need people in the government to pay attention to the farm worker needs, and we currently don't have that support. And a lot of the stuff, like right now, we're looking for different farm workers to help us voice their opinions about these farm worker phrases, and they're scared. Like it's very hard to find someone that is living it to come out to the surface and be like, I want to be your spokesperson. Like it's very hard, and we need them to make sure that the movement is led by them, because this is what we always talk about. Like we want, this is a farm worker movement, so the farm worker has to lead it. In order to be unoppressed, the oppressed have to like lead the movement, because if not, then there's no movement. And right now we're like so scared that it's kind of hard to get that momentum built in from like the farm worker, and then like, bloom it up for the general public. So there's a lot to be done. We're here to help, and if you need anything, please reach out to us. We will share more information as we get it, and keep us in mind for anything, any questions, concerns. We're here in Michigan, and we really love what we do. I come from immigrant parents, farm working parents. I worked in the fields for a little bit, so we're in the struggle. We don't forget about our people, but we know that our people need to start moving, because we're trying to make movement too, but we need their support.
Thank you.
I hear that struggle. Gosh, it's so difficult because there is that sense of self-preservation. You are experiencing it. We all are, and we come up against that wall, and it's so hard to ask of a vulnerable, exposed person to do one more thing. That is actually a really big thing. So wouldn't it be nice if we could figure out? Of course, I'm imagining that if people who don't have the natural target on their backs, people who look like me, although don't sound like me because I am an immigrant, if they could step in, but then they'd have to speak, I don't even know, they'd have to speak Spanish, of course, to communicate. It's, wow. Yeah. It's an
And
uphill
just one thing I do want to add, that if you do have social media, or you can Google,
battle.
look for UFW Foundation, and you'll see some of the testimonies from these farm workers, and some videos that we did in Van Buren County and other places too. I'm glad they're out there that people can see. And you can see some of the testimonies, and some of the testimonies are subtitled, so you can understand. But you'll see a lot more than what we do, other than just this hour.
Yeah, of course, obviously. Listen, Danielle, you need to return to your celebrations. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. Amanda, thank you so much for choosing to spend this hour with us. It's been obviously an eye-opener, a crusher in many ways, soul crusher. And I too hope with you. Well, no, I see it that this will end, and then there will be many who will have to answer for what they've done.
Thank you. I do want to end, whenever we like do a meeting with our group and our team, we say the farm worker prayer. And in the farm worker prayer, there's a phrase that says, we bring forth song and celebration so that we don't tire of the struggle. So that's the organizing team. We always make sure that we end with the smile, because this is hard work. Like every time you come, you if you have children, or if you have a spouse, or you're like your parents, you see them, and the struggle is a reflection of them, and you see it every day, and it's scary every day. So we do end with celebration. Like we always try to be positive. I know me and Daniel, I feel, I don't know, that sometimes we're sometimes overly positive, and maybe that's a coping mechanism, but we do laugh and joke and just make it a little bit less hard. So I encourage you also to like bring forth song and celebration, because we don't want to get tired of the struggle. And thanks all for having us, and I think it's a wonderful experience to share something. It is a heavy topic and we understand it and we know, but please reach out to us if you need anything, if you want further clarification or a bigger conversation, which we can have bigger conversations.
Wonderful. There it is. I love that. I love that.
And
Smile and celebrate so you don't tire of the struggle, because the struggle is real. Yeah.
And I think
Thank you.
you really made some allies today too. So thank you for sharing so honestly and vulnerably with us. And so glad you could be here.
So that will be okay. I'll give you guys shout outs on Alma Latina on Sundays at 2:00 from now on.
I listen every day on my way home from every Sunday
yeah?
on my way home
Okay.
from church.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Very good.
All right.
Well, thank you so much to all of you for joining and for this wonderful conversation.